the last origin, the Noob. This video is gonna be a bit different from the others. Since the Noob doesn't really have a special theme or special ability, rather than making another generic montage, I'm going to do something that a lot of you have been asking for. In the comments of a lot of these videos, you've been asking me for advice, what builds you should use, what you should focus on leveling. This is going to be a guide packed full with as much information as I can on how to get you from bumbling idiot tripping over your own feet to a well-oiled killing machine. Sit back, pay attention, and take some notes, because we're starting with... To move, push the... No, I'm just messing with you. I'm not actually going to teach you the basics. I'm sure you've made it that far at least. There are 4 main skills in the game: unarmed, melee, ranged, and acrobatics. Each skill has 3 tiers of upgrades available. With the exception of the Noob, all origins have a skill focus and a skill weakness. If they are weak in a skill, they will not get any attribute points for upgrading that skill, and they will only have 2 of the 3 tiers available for purchase. If you are focused on the skill, you get extra attribute points to spend from that skill tree, and you will have 3 extra perks available only to those who focus on that skill. Your health and corpus bar are influenced by multiple factors. Origins have differing levels of health per corpus bar, with the offering having the least and the massive having the most. Imprints also influence your starting health, adding 1 extra point per imprint. Your corpus is determined by your progress with your focus skill. Every time you purchase a core skill upgrade for your focus skill, you will gain an extra corpus for a maximum of 4. The only exceptions for this are the Noob, who gets corpus upgrades for buying core upgrades on any skill, and the Massive, who gains corpus up to a maximum of 10 bars. There are multiple types of melee and unarmed attacks, from quick jabs, heavy swings, and charged attacks. The most important thing to know when focusing on close combat is mastering critical hits. A critical hit is performed in melee anytime you attack a moment before your current swing connects with your target. Critical hits double the damage you deal and work with any attack that has you physically connected with an enemy, including shoves, kicks, and even bayonet stabs with firearms. Different weapons have different animations, swing speeds, etc., so learn your timings to make sure you are landing consistent critical hits to maximize your melee potential. Unlike melee weapons, where the only attributes that matter are damage and durability, guns have a lot more going on. Damage, effective range, rate of fire, accuracy, piercing, ammo count, recovery. Also, unlike melee weapons, almost every single gun in the game can be upgraded and altered at a workbench. Finding the weapons and upgrades that work for you can be an expensive and time-consuming task, but if you know what you want, a single gun can carry you throughout most of the game. Versus recoil and recovery determine weapon recoil, with the former determining how quickly a weapon will lose control, and the latter determining how quickly it will return to normal after firing. The higher these numbers are, the less problems you'll have. If you need to choose between the two, versus recoil should take priority over recovery, as there are skills for high-level gunmen to help combat recoil and extended fire. There are also skills that help keep recoil down and assist with your aim. Using 2 hands and aiming your weapon will help make sure your first shot fires straight and help combat against recoil. The headshot skill gives you the ability to tilt your weapon upward, allowing you to take out singular targets quickly. The most important skill is the sweet spot skill, which will place a green box along your line of sight. The sweet spot is determined by range, and targets shot inside of the sweet spot will quickly lose their tack bar or have it outright ignored. It also allows you to get critical hits. Speaking of tack bars, your tack bar is your first line of defense when going against ranged enemies. It can be upgraded throughout your playthrough, but the basic function of it is to allow you to dodge bullets and break free from stun locks. If you are facing somebody as they shoot at you, you will expend some of your tack bar to dodge the bullet, reducing or completely negating the damage you would have taken. If you are getting pummeled in melee combat, mashing the dodge button just before getting hit will allow you to break their combo and leap out of harm's way in exchange for most of your attack bar. The bar is refilled with kills and finishers, but once it's depleted, you are at the mercy of everyone until you can fill it back up.
Hey, smile! I literally just said smile, you fucking idiot!
All that stuff was probably something you already knew, but now it's time to focus on some actual tips and tricks that can help you if you're struggling. After beating this game 9 times, I've developed a couple of habits that make each run a breeze. Here they are now. Leveling up certain skills can be pretty annoying in later levels, especially unarmed and acrobatics. There are 2 levels I go to when I want to level these 2 quickly, Slaughter Time and Sleepwalker. Buy as many throwing knives and shurikens as you can, and try and use nothing but your fists and throwing weapons to make sure the XP you earn at the end of each wave is only the XP for the skills you want. Enemies in Slaughter Time and Sleepwalker are pretty weak, and Sleepwalker has very small waves. Sleepwalker especially is a very good leveling arena if you're patient. Past wave 20, every wave starts handing out over 1000 XP, even on waves with only 19 enemies, making using only throwing weapons easy to do for an easy 1000 acrobatics XP. In between every single wave, you can open up your inventory to swap out weapons for both yourself and your hirelings. This is something that you're told in the Sleepwalker tutorial, but it took me like 4 playthroughs to find out you could do this, so I guess it's worth mentioning here. Once per mission, you can call for backup, spending a small amount of cash to summon a small group of allied fighters to assist you until the end of the current wave. These fighters can be upgraded back at the base, increasing their health and equipment at the cost of increasing their price. When a hireling dies, they are sent to Skinner to heal. They will take 15 minutes to heal unless you pay Skinner an expensive fee to rush the process, which gets more expensive depending on the level of the patient. In later levels, your entire team of 5 can be wiped out and you'll be forced to either spend all your money to get them back, or wait 15 minutes until you can heal them for cheaper. To get past the costs and waiting, invest in hireling insurance as soon as you can. No matter how good you are, your hirelings will die, so investing in quick recovery will save you money in the long run. The black market sells various pre-modified weapons which are randomized every single time you return to the base. The black market will also have specialized weapons like elemental slayer knives and heavy firearms if you're willing to pay for them. The upgrade station besides it allows you to increase your hirelings' level cap. With no upgrades, your hirelings will cap out at level 10, with each upgrade increasing their level cap by 4 until you hit 30. Various shops and upgrades become available as you progress through the contract missions. Completing the mission The Goods unlocks the black market, the weapon workbench, and the ability to call in backup on missions. It also upgrades the helicopter to carry 4 people instead of 2. Completing the mission Fickle Friends unlocks the Loft, Dr. Crackpot's back alley market, grants access to the bank mission, and upgrades the helicopter again to now carry 6 people. Dr. Crackpot's back alley market sells a few interesting things that can only be purchased with boon tokens, which you get from completing missions. Playing on harder difficulties will give you more tokens at the end of the mission, and in endless runs, robots will sometimes spawn that carry boon tokens inside of them. Dr. Crackpot also sells color palettes which you can use to customize you and your hirelings, as well as equipment in a separate tab which includes special weapons and augments that increase certain abilities and grant special perks. The infinite ammo upgrade doesn't just apply to firearms, but your throwable weapons too. It's possible to equip more armor than you can comfortably wear and become over-encumbered. Being over-encumbered will lower your attack bar and maximum speed in proportion to how much weight you're lugging around. In some cases, it might actually be worth becoming over-encumbered for the extra defense, especially if you're playing as the Massive who can't get any slower. This isn't recommended for melee-centric characters though, as the smaller attack bar and decreased speed means you're a sitting duck for ranged enemies as you slowly try and close the distance.
Just a little too late, as usual. Let's go!
Made it this far. Hell, you might not even need the rest of this info to win, but this is where the real pro strats lie. Things will get a lot more specific and complicated from this point on, so if you're struggling with a very specific section of the game, this might be what gives you the edge you need to overcome the obstacle. You are able to order your hirelings around in battle. These orders aren't very useful on their own except for two: reclaiming weapons and holding positions. If your hirelings lose or break their weapons, you'll have to wait till the end of the wave in order to resupply them, unless you order them to grab something off the ground. Ordering over a weapon will cause everyone to run around and find a new weapon off the floor. The most important order is the order to hold position. There are multiple arenas that have environmental hazards or multiple rooms that can quickly tear your hirelings apart very early on in a wave. By ordering your hirelings to hold a position, they'll be less likely to split up or blindly run into death traps. This one trick alone can extend hirelings' lives considerably without changing their equipment or strategy at all. Speaking of hireling survivability, some classes are much better than others at surviving long term. In a typical run, I usually gather 6 hirelings: 2 gymnasts, 2 clubbers, and 2 thugs. Gymnasts have massive attack bars, and thugs usually have the most endurance, meaning that both of these classes get points that directly increase their health, equipment load, and dodging abilities. The only problem is that they aren't as useful in combat as clubbers and hunters. Attack power isn't what you should be focusing on for your hirelings, though. They should be treated more like bullet sponges than actually talented fighters that'll help you in battle. Load them up with as much armor as you can and equip them with shields to boost their defensive capabilities even further. Combined with their orders, your hirelings will create a massive ball of iron and Kevlar that'll draw fire and attention away from you while you do the real work. The Fickle Friends contract can be extremely tough for people who aren't prepared, as the vampires can easily grab you and take multiple attempts to kill. It is possible to kill them in one go with normal weapons if you perfectly time your critical hits, but there is a much easier solution: fire. Buying laser pistols or a fire slayer knife from the black market can help take the vampires down in one go. Vampire hunters scattered throughout the level also carry torches and stakes which can kill vampires in seconds, though they easily break. Half-mags have a telegraphed wind-up before they do their charge attack. It's pretty quick and can be mistaken for a regular swing, but once you are able to recognize it, the timing is always exactly the same, meaning you can perfectly time your own dodge to avoid getting hit. Full-size mags are the most durable enemies in the game, but surprisingly they aren't that dangerous. They shoot very slowly and also have very easy to read melee attacks. It is simply a matter of dumping as many bullets into them as possible. However, using improvised and broken weapons for free finishers will instantly knock a corpus block off them, making the Disquieted the best origin for taking down mags effortlessly. You and every single one of your hirelings should have a throwing weapon equipped. Whether it's shurikens, axes, or just rocks, it doesn't matter. Even if they are awful at acrobatics, it's extra damage that hirelings can do at ranged, even if they run out of ammo or are disarmed. As for what you should bring, I recommend bringing flashbangs for the Nexus core, since they can stun multiple enemies at once, letting you and your team finish off a group and regen your attack bar. Flashbangs are also practically a necessity if you are playing as the Offering, since they rely on healing off of finishers to survive in late game. The block button exists. Seriously though, use the block button. For a good while I never even bothered trying to block attacks and tried to either dodge or just kill them faster than they kill me, but standing your ground is a very good option in most cases. With high unarmed and melee skills, perfectly timed blocks can cause enemies to flinch, be disarmed, and can even knock them down into a dizzy state for a finisher. Charging enemies like Merc Berserkers and Mental Patients can be caught in their charge attacks and thrown, and larger enemies like Golems can have their grabs countered. Blocks can be thrown out at any time and only slow you down if you block in the middle of an action, so don't be afraid to block when enemies swing at you. The bank heist contract becomes available after Fickle Friends when you visit Dr. Crackpot for the second time. The amount of loot you can steal is dependent on your difficulty level, and you are able to return to the van in between opening each vault to drop off the money you've collected and resupply with new weapons and equipment. Order your hirelings to sit next to the vault you're guarding, and make sure to drop off all the money before you move on to the next vault. After every opening, a wave of extremely difficult riflemen and sheriffs will arrive, with the last wave being endless and extremely difficult. Once the final vault with the boon tokens is open, drop everything you have and grab all 3 bags and run to the van without stopping. It's not a fight you want to stick around for. Like most wave survival games, the secret to survival rests in target management. There are plenty of easily disposable fodder enemies that will charge you, but there are tougher, specialized enemies that can quickly knock you down if you aren't paying attention. The earliest special character that you'll encounter regularly will be the Soldat, who is the first generic enemy with attack bar that you'll face in the arena. Pick your targets wisely and go after the enemies that pose the highest threat to you and your hirelings. Examples of priority targets include Soldats and Engineers in Fast Track, Acid Spitters and Abominations in the Haunted House, Green and Red Gunmen in Slaughter Time, Sappers and Ninjas in Hard Cell, Trank Gun Orderlies in the Murder Room, and the Beret Nexus Engineers in Nexus Core. Bigger and more annoying targets like Golems, Mags, and shielded enemies might seem like priority targets, but their slow movements and attack speeds make them easy to avoid while you focus on the enemies constantly hounding you and chipping away at your attack bar and health. Go after the heavy hitters first before they get your hirelings and leave you to face the hordes all by yourself. And finally, the most important lesson of all. Push K to Ragdoll.
No, you maniac! What are you doing? Only a fool will play God! Come on!
Fuck is this shit?
There it is. I've taught you all I know, or at least everything I thought to write into this script. While I have played and beaten this game multiple times, I don't claim to be an expert at this game. There's likely something I missed, or there may even be more optimal strategies that beat out the info that I gave out here. But I hope what I had to say helps you finally collect your first imprint. If I did miss anything, share this info down below into the comments. Share your builds, your strategies for completing certain levels, the methods of getting the most money in the shortest amount of time. Now that the video is wrapping up, I do have some unfortunate news. This is probably going to be the last Madness video for a while. This is the 12th Madness video that I've made, and while modding did mix things up a bit, I'm still getting burnt out. I'm still working on my Elden Ring series, but I also have some other videos planned out, including another actual review. Madness-related content will still probably always stick around on this channel, as I love the series, but I need to put the game down for now. Thank you all for the support you've shown me so far. We're extremely close to hitting 2,000 subs. The channel has constantly been growing at a faster and faster rate, and I cannot understate how much it means to me to see that. I know this news of no more Madness might be disheartening, but I hope that all of you will stick around for what I have next. Hope to see you all again soon.